All right, the number one question I get is how I buy commercial property long distance, how I'm able to buy multifamily in Ohio and retail in different states while living in Southern California. I've actually never owned anything in California. Everything I've bought has been long distance. I have had to move to my properties before for a while I stabilize them, but we'll discuss all that. I'm just going to go over how I do it, how I'm able to buy commercial property, stabilize them, and then sell them, essentially flip commercial property long distance. Now, the first way I was able to do that is that I had to switch from multifamily to other asset types, mainly retail. So I realized that the multifamily asset class just has so many moving parts, handling all the maintenance requests. Management tends to overspend because it's not their money. Unless you're buying newer assets where the maintenance tends to be really, really low, or you partner with a really good property management company, it's hard to stabilize a apartment building long distance. And a lot of this stuff I'm talking about, it's actually not as hard as you think. You're gonna realize in this video that it's really a lot simpler than you think. With all these different tools, like right here, this is my property management software, which I'll go over briefly. Once you have the right platforms and you have things moving, it's really not that hard. So the first thing is I had to leave multifamily. I sold all the multifamily in Ohio for the most part, and I moved them into retail properties that currently the value is being added to them as we speak. So, and then the other thing is retail leases. So, like I said, with residential, with apartment buildings, you have all those maintenance requests. With retail, they're triple net leases, meaning for the most part, the tenant handles all the maintenance requests. Toilet breaks, the tenant, let's say it's a hair salon, they have to fix their own toilet. They're not calling me, they're not reaching out to my team saying, I need you to fix the toilet. So, you also get to keep that money, the money that you'd normally spend on toilets and ACs and this and that. If you set up the leases properly, you won't have to worry about any of that. So that makes it a lot easier when you're managing these assets after they're stabilized, the way the leases are set up for commercial. So the first part is like buying the property. So I'm going to use example. This is a retail property in Wichita that we just closed on. And it's currently, as we speak right now, they're out there, they're adding the value to the property. So first thing I do when I'm buying this property was listed for sale. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the property under contract. I'm going to run my numbers and I'm going to get the property under contract. Now, I have a whole other video on running the numbers. That one gets really in detail, but I'm essentially saying, is this a good deal? If I buy this property, if I get the rents to market, what will it be worth when I'm done? It's very simple. Underwriting, it's a very fancy word for just saying running the numbers and seeing if is it a good deal? Is it not a good deal? And that'll be its own separate video because that can go pretty deep. But I plug it into a spreadsheet just very briefly. This one, I believe the purchase price was 290. Needed about 45,000. I'm putting into it. I think it's gonna be less than that. And it's gonna be worth about 560, 580 by the time I'm done with it and put it back on market. And this whole thing could take 4, 5, 6 months. So this one closed on it maybe like a week ago. So I see the property, I run the numbers look good. There's room to make the property worth more. And then I'll put an offer on the property. I'll send in an offer and I'll get the property under contract. Once the property is under contract, now the real work starts. I got to dive deep. I got to do my due diligence. And I have a due diligence due diligence checklist that I have. I'll even pull it up right now. Due diligence, retail. So this is a retail acquisition due diligence, property analysis. And once this is what I do when I'm buying the property, my requirements when the property's under contract. These are the different things I need to do. I got to do property condition report, environmental. I got to check the property tax. So this is all stuff I'm doing from California. The only time I go to the property is when the property is being inspected. Property inspector comes out and looks at every single part of the property. I will typically fly there for the inspection report and walk the property with the inspector. Now, that's not mandatory. I bought multifamily property. I bought property without being there for the inspection. I just look over the inspection carefully, and then I send contractors out to start getting quotes. So quickly, when under contract, get the property condition report. This is where the inspector goes out, just like with residential, just like when you're buying a house. You got to do environmental, taxes. You got to start getting quotes from the bank. to figure out what you're going to finance. You got to do your CapEx schedule. Each one of these could have its own video, honestly. So this is just a checklist I go through when I'm under contract. That's called due diligence. And then I'll also fly there for the inspection most of the time. At the same time, I'm also getting quotes from a contractor. So I'll start calling different contractors and be like, hey, I need to do the parking lot. So for this one, off the top of my head, for the one in Wichita, it was paint the building, parking. It was improving the signage that was out front. It was, replacing, getting windows in here because it's windows on the top panel and then a piece of wood on the bottom one. So getting windows in there. And it was just getting quotes from different contractors because I got to plug that into my underwriting to see how much it's going to cost in renovation to get it to that after repair value, ARV, that I'd be able to exit at. So I create a property improvement plan, a PIP, which is the term is mostly used for hotels, but I use it all the time. So while I have the property under contract, I'm creating a PIP, property improvement plan, and I'm putting a dollar amount on what my budget is after the purchase close. And then yeah, I fly there for the inspection. I come back, but most of this work is done on the computer. Calling the contractors, I send them out to go look at it, or I'll have them talk to the agent so they could walk the units. Everything can be done from here. All the underwriting, I need to figure out what the utilities are. I need to figure out how long the leases are that are left. This one had a an optical place, a barber shop, and a church. So how long are these people staying? Are they leaving? If they leave, who's going to lease it up? I got which broker I'm going to have to work with. So I'm creating the strategy to make this thing worth more. It's not a house where I just fix it up and put it back on the market. I got to fix it up, lease it well, and then put it back on the market. So that's my property improvement plan. It's my value add plan. So that's pretty much 45 to 60 days to get closed. So once the property's under contract and closed, it's about 50 days. During that time, I'll get the inspection, I'll fly out to see the property, I'll get to the appraisal, I'll get financing from the bank, I'll do all my homework, I'll create the PIP, and 95% of that time I'm here. A lot of stuff can be done that you think is a big deal can be handled just by sending someone out there. So the environmental, you don't have to be there for the environmental. You let the agent know, so they let the tenants know, and that's it. It can all be done here. It's not as scary as it seems. And then once you close on the property, then the real work begins. That's when you got to pull the value add. So as soon as I close on a property, I will get cameras installed the next day. And as soon as cameras are installed, I'll have the property improvement plan put into action. So this one closed on it last week, got the cameras installed a couple days ago, and right now they're working on the parking lot. I was actually checking the camera earlier today. I held on to one of the clips. So this is them working in this parking lot right here. And they started painting the building. They already did this side of the parking lot. They're finishing it up with the lines, and then now they're going to get started on this side of the parking lot. But they did half and half so the tenants can still park. Yeah, so they did this side of the parking lot already, and they're doing that side. So the property improvement plan's in place. I also already talked with the tenants. I know what their plans are, who's going to stay, who's going to leave, and I factored in the price of releasing that unit, paying a broker to lease that unit up in the underwriting. So it's already in the numbers. So it's in place. Everyone's going. The property improvement plan is in place, and the property is being improved. And I'm here. I called 3, 4 different contractors. They all went out. They gave me quotes for painting, quotes for the parking lot. I picked one of them. I sent them a deposit. So it was, I don't remember the budget on this one off the top of my head, but it was, I think, for example, someone's going to do the parking lot for $4,000. I give them $1,000 to buy materials. Then they do the work and they're done and they get the other three. And I can either send someone out there to take photos. I use TaskRabbit, by the way, religiously. Like the person that installed the camera I went to TaskRabbit and I hired someone, $140. It took him 3 or 4 hours. He had to go pick it up from the Walmart, not the Walmart, the Amazon locker, picked it up, went there, installed it. I made sure it worked. I logged into the app. I could see the parking lot. I could see the building. All right, we're good to go. All of that from here. So it sounds intimidating, long distance real estate investing in general, but especially with commercial, it sounds intimidating, but it's not. It's not. So this is the value add period that I'm in the middle of because I just closed on this one. So right now the building's getting taken care of. We're preparing to lease one of the spaces. We know one of the tenants are likely going to be vacating. So we're already starting to market for that space. And then, I mean, it's August. My goal is by March to build the buildings cleaned up and the tenants are at market rate, March, April. We'll take the tenants that are currently there to market. We'll give them that rent bump. And then one of the tenants is leaving. We're going to release that unit at market rent. And then now this building is worth 580. So we sell the building, we take our profits, we 1031 into the next one. It's essentially the same thing I was doing with multifamily, buying a unit. Like, for example, this building I bought in Dayton, Ohio. This one, things were so hectic. I also had some of the units on Airbnb. Things were so hectic, I had to move to Ohio for a while. So that's what multifamily does. It was like 40, 45 units. So I had to go out there, stabilize everything before exiting and being able to move them into a commercial property that I can do from anywhere now. So that's really the gist of it. That's the idea. You're gonna put the property under contract, do all your due diligence. I recommend flying out for the inspection. I might also fly out again when the value add's finishing up before I release the major chunk of money to the contractor. I'll fly out one more time. So it'll be 2 to 3 times for each project. So you can stabilize the building, you can do the renovations, long distance. It's not that scary. You pay the contractors a little bit up front, and then the rest when the work is completed properly. And then that's it. You stabilize the commercial building long distance. You get those triple net leases in there. So the tenants are doing the repairs and renovations. And then the property stabilized and you have a property that's worth, 2x what you bought it for. And then you can choose to keep it and just collect that cash flow now that the rents are at market and it's bringing in good cash flow. Or you could choose to do what I typically like to do, which is exit and then take that equity, 1031 it into another deal and another deal and another deal. This is one of the smaller retail centers that we just closed on, exciting one. We're pushing forward on it. We're doing the value add period, and before we know it, within 3 to 4 months, this thing is going to be worth 2x what we bought it because we took the rents to market. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's not that scary buying commercial real estate long distance. Sounds intimidating, but it's not. So if you're nervous about it, all you got to do is you got to have some time to answer calls. Maybe you got to have time to make calls. But I'm usually making calls while I'm on the road. I'm making calls, in the morning, and then you can kind of schedule it around your life, especially if you have a more lenient job or you can do it full time. It's it's not that hard to integrate it into an already busy life as long as you can get access to your phone. This right here, if you can see it, this right here is what I run the whole real estate portfolio off. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys on the next one.